Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're jumping right into something, well, pretty fascinating. It's right at that crossroads of super fast tech change and, how we prepare for the future. The world's changing so quickly. It's reshaping everything, even warfare. So the big question is, how do we keep up? Especially, when we're talking about training the next generation of military leaders. Well, that's what this deep dive is all about. We're looking at the official launch of the EON Spatial AI Military Academy by EON Reality. This isn't just like another online course. Our mission here is to really unpack how this AI and XR, that's extended reality platform, is aiming to future-proof military training. We'll dig into what it offers, the problems it solves in defense education, and what it means for readiness and developing future leaders. So yeah, let's unpack this.
Absolutely. And what's really striking right from the start in the source material is how clearly it sees the gap between old ways of thinking about conflict and what's happening, well, now. You hit the nail on the head. Modern cadets, they're digitally native, sure, they grew up with this stuff, but the systems used to train them. They often lag way behind the world these cadets actually live in and will have to operate in.
That's a really important point, that disconnect. People outside the military might not fully get it. It's not just old gear, it's the whole approach to preparation. So when EON Reality comes in with this big AI-powered immersive thing, what are the core problems, the systemic gaps they're really trying to fix?
Well, the source points to two major ones. First, there's this issue of outdated curricula. It's a big one. Think about it, training for fights that just aren't the main threat anymore. A lot of institutions, the source says, are still kind of stuck on doctrines for past conflicts. This leaves cadets really underprepared for what they'll actually face. Things like, cyber, hybrid, and asymmetric threats. If your training focuses only on traditional battles, you miss all the complexity of cyber warfare, influence campaigns, stuff like that. It's inertia, really.
Oh, yeah, the curriculum just can't keep up.
Exactly. And that leads straight to the second gap, the mismatch with modern warfare itself. Today's conflicts are just so technology-driven. Information speed, drones everywhere, advanced sensors, the line between physical and digital blurring. Traditional methods, textbooks, maybe some limited live drills, they just can't replicate that pace or complexity. It creates a dangerous gap between the classroom and the real world.
Yeah, it's a scale and speed problem. Updating that huge training machine fast enough seems impossible. Okay, so that's the challenge. How does EON's platform, this AI immersive solution, actually bridge that gap?
Yeah.
How does it transform the training? This sounds like where the cool stuff happens.
It really is. The core idea is built around dynamic XR simulations. So get this. Instead of static textbooks, which might be old news by the time they're printed, you get dynamic, constantly updated 3D, augmented reality, and virtual reality scenarios. Cadets aren't just reading about stuff, they're in it, walking through it, interacting, making decisions.
Wow.
And these simulations, they're designed to mirror real-world battlefield complexities. So you can practice everything from urban operations to complex electronic warfare. What's really powerful is it allows for, let's call it, safe failure. Cadets can try high-stakes stuff, maybe mess up, learn, and repeat, all without real-world risk. That speeds up learning like crazy, builds adaptability, things you just don't get from a book. The whole point is making sure every cadet trains for present-day realities, not yesterday's wars.
That's a huge shift. Learning by doing, failing safely, iterating in a realistic setting. Sounds incredibly powerful.
Oh.
Okay, so beyond just updating the curriculum with dynamic scenarios, what specific practical problems does this EON platform solve? Let's get into the nuts and bolts.
Right. So one of the biggest practical hurdles is virtual access to rare and costly equipment. Think about advanced hardware like UAVs, drones, or armored vehicles, complex communication systems. Getting hands-on time with that stuff is tough. It's incredibly expensive. There are logistical nightmares, and you have tons of people needing access.
Yeah, I can imagine. The cost alone must be staggering.
Exactly. So EON's solution uses these high-fidelity XR environments. Cadets can operate virtual replicas of cutting-edge equipment. They can practice complex procedures, high-stakes maneuvers over and over safely and without the risks or expenses of live assets. The source mentions things like practicing amphibious landings, mountain rescues, even complex special ops stuff, all virtually. Unlimited practice, instant feedback, it's huge.
That's a total game changer. For budgets, for safety, no more risking multi-million-dollar gear for basic training, and mastering complex tasks through repetition. Invaluable. But what about the people, the instructors? How does this tech handle personalized teaching, especially with big classes?
Good question. That brings us to the next gap EON tackles. Personalized learning with AI mentorship. The problem's pretty clear, right? Instructor shortages, overstretched classrooms. It's just hard for one person to give tailored feedback to everyone at the same time.
Impossible, really.
Pretty much. So EON introduces these AI mentors. They're described as intelligent virtual tutors powered by advanced AI.
AI squared. What's a squared mean there?
Well, the source doesn't go into the specific details, but AI suggests something sophisticated, maybe multiple layers of AI working together. One for instruction, one for feedback, maybe one learning from experts. The key thing is they provide 247 adaptive guidance, real-time feedback, specific help if you're stuck, custom learning paths based on how you're doing. It ensures no one gets left behind. Imagine getting instant, precise advice on a tactical choice anytime, day or night.
A virtual tutor that adapts to you. That sounds incredibly effective. But hang on, what about access? Is this amazing tech just for the elite academies with big budgets and fancy gear, or does it actually help everyone? Does it risk making the gap wider for people in, say, remote areas?
That's a really critical point about equity, and EON seems very focused on it. They tackle two things here: tech refresh without barriers and creating equal opportunity. The source is blunt. Budget limitations and outdated hardware are common problems globally. And yeah, geographic isolation or under-resourced backgrounds can seriously limit cadets' chances.
Okay, so how do they solve that?
Their platform is cloud-based and device-agnostic. That's the key. It means you don't need a fancy, dedicated lab. It works on a basic laptop, tablet, smartphone, or a sophisticated headset. So it delivers full-fidelity, immersive training to every cadet everywhere. This is what democratizes elite-level training, makes it accessible in cities and rural areas everywhere. It levels the playing field.
That's genuinely powerful. It means talent can actually rise regardless of where someone starts. Okay, but soldiers aren't just technicians, right? What about leadership? Making tough calls, ethics, leading people under pressure. How does the platform help develop leaders?
Exactly. And the platform is very intentional about going beyond just technical skills. It focuses strongly on human-centered leadership development. The source stresses that future leaders need more than just tactics. They need empathy, adaptability, and decision-making under pressure. Soft skills, essentially.
Which are notoriously hard to teach from a book.
Precisely. So EON embeds emotionally intelligent leadership modules into the training. They actually measure and develop these essential soft skills, things like command presence, emotional intelligence, ethical reasoning, using specific XR scenarios. Imagine scenarios with tough ethical choices, high-stress situations, and getting feedback not just on what you did, but why. Plus, it tackles another gap: real-world career alignment. Often, training doesn't quite match what the armed forces or defense industry actually need right now. EON's platform syncs training modules with live workforce data, so the skills being taught are the skills most in demand. It keeps the training relevant, preparing graduates for what's next.
Okay, that makes sense.
And finally, there's the actionable analytics piece. This is big for the institutions themselves. Performance data doesn't just track individual cadets, it informs institutional and national strategy. EON provides these real-time analytics dashboards. They show data on skill acquisition, retention rates, operational readiness, leadership growth, all sorts of things. This lets decision makers spot trends, fix problems, enhance training efficiency, optimize investments, and really shape defense readiness long-term. It's data-driving strategy.
Right. So pulling all this together, the dynamic XR, the AI mentors, the accessibility, the leadership focus, the data, what's the big picture? What's the strategic payoff for defense organizations using this? What's the EON advantage?
The source sums up that EON advantage really clearly. For organizations adopting this, the benefits are transformative. First, unprecedented scalability and cost efficiency. You can deliver top-tier training globally way cheaper than traditional methods. Second, replace reactive models with proactive, data-driven systems. Stop fixing problems after they happen. Use real-time data to continuously improve training. Third, empower every cadet, regardless of background. True meritocracy. Leveling the playing field based on talent, not location or budget. And maybe most importantly, accelerate readiness for modern threats. Make sure graduates aren't just skilled, but truly ready, adaptable, and equipped to lead in today's complex world.
That's quite a list of advantages.
It is. And Dan Lajerskar, EON Reality's chairman, puts it like this in the source. As the pace of technological change accelerates, our armed forces can only remain secure if their training evolves just as rapidly. He calls it a strategic leap forward for the safety, resilience, and effectiveness of military forces worldwide. It really connects back to that core idea, safeguarding the future by changing how we train today.
Yeah, that sums it up perfectly. What we've looked at today, this EON Spatial AI Military Academy, It really does feel like a major step forward in defense education. Using AI and XR not just to catch up, but to get ahead, preparing forces for whatever the future holds, building readiness, building adaptable leaders. And, thinking about all this, it leads to a pretty interesting question, doesn't it? If AI and XR can do this for military readiness, universal access, personalized learning, even developing leadership skills, how might this kind of adaptive, accessible, data-driven training model shake things up in other fields? Think about other areas that need fast learning, high-stakes decisions, ethical judgment, areas far beyond the military. What other sectors could really use this kind of training revolution? Something for you to think about until our next deep dive.